The Department of Health has been closely coordinating the efforts here and had already sent 2 teams since first being notified. The department is continuing to provide real-time surveillance and assistance to limit the further spread of illness to other center residents and staff. And I'd ask you to keep them in your prayers as well. There are still many folks behind me in this building, including young ones. I remain confident that these efforts and those of other health officials will be invaluable to limiting this outbreak and its impacts.
Governor Phil Murphy there talking about an outbreak of the adenovirus, which has killed 7 children in a nursing home and a rehab facility in New Jersey. Fox 1's Jessica Orban, she has the details.
Officials are taking a closer look at the Wanacue Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation. On Wednesday, a 7th child died there after contracting adenovirus, a potentially deadly virus found in communal living spaces that lives on surfaces and in pool water. Now, the State Department of Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are investigating how the virus spread so rapidly.
Was there a breakdown in the infection control protocols? Was everything done by the book?
Senator Joe Vitale, the chairman of the Senate Health Committee, says he's taking the health commissioner's lead. After discovering the center has been cited in the past for several health code violations, Senator Vitale says after the investigation is done, he will work with state agencies and legislators to see if any new laws need to be put in place to prevent something like this from happening again.
As a legislative body, as chairman of the Health Committee, it'll be part of my responsibility to wait until the commissioner has concluded his investigation and meet with him and then discuss whether or not there need to be changes to the existing protocols in terms of infection control.
Many parents frustrated that the Department of Health was notified by the facility on October 9th, but didn't send a letter to parents or family until October 19th. In Wanacue, Jessica Orban, Fios 1 News.
And for more on this, let's bring in staff writer for The Record and NorthJersey.com, Steve Janoski. Steve, really heartbreaking story, and you see here a mixture of obviously sadness, but a whole lot of anger, because this could have and should have been handled a lot differently.
Yeah, I talked to one of the mothers of one of the deceased children yesterday, who was very upset that the hospital handled it in the way that they were. Mostly that they were not that transparent as to when this outbreak started. She was saying that her daughter passed away 2 mornings ago, and she was saying that she had only found out about the outbreak through a letter the day beforehand, and her daughter had been in the hospital since October 3rd, so there was quite a lag time there.
You know, years ago, Steve, I did under a prior administration, I did a town hall at one of these, because at one point under Governor Christie, they were looking to shutter a bunch of these facilities and consolidate them into a smaller number. It didn't happen, but there was a lot of hue and cry at the time. Give an idea to the audience, the population of patients that are in here sometimes for 20, 30 years, pretty much the better part of their lives. Talk about the kind of people who call these facilities home.
Yeah, I mean, it's licensed, I don't recall the exact number, but it's licensed to have about 100 or so patients. As far as that ventilator unit, which is people who need mechanical assistance in breathing, I think that's about 50 of them. And it's a very fragile population. You know, the woman, Christine Delig, who I talked to yesterday, said her daughter had had problems her entire life. She had had respiratory problems, stomach illnesses. She was non-communicative, bedridden, and I get the feeling that many of these kids are like that, and moving them is difficult. We've been told that quarantining them is very difficult, especially given the size of this place, not a huge facility. So some of these kids do stay there, you know, for most of their lives. I mean, this girl was 16, she had been there for 4 years, but she had bounced around places beforehand, and you know, the odds of her leaving there maybe weren't great to begin with.
Well, obviously, still a lot of questions unanswered here. Hopefully, we're going to get to the bottom of it when the findings are released from this probe. But, Steve, I appreciate a few minutes of your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay, when we come back, we will change gears here, and actually we'll head out to the Great White Way, a review of a new Broadway play, Bernard Hamlet. And believe it or not, theater critic John Simon, as tough as they get, he actually liked it. Unusual, as he's famous for being picky.